ladies and gentlemen. The Goblins have trampled their snow down from the mountains into these luscious green lands inhabited by the League of Rhordia, the shortfolk, during the harvest season. Word made its way to Goblin High Command that the League were preparing to bring in the harvest, strengthening them significantly for the year ahead, and the Goblins aren't going to stand for that at all, so they have dispatched their forces with 3 objectives in mind, at least. Bringing down this unit containing some of the finest farmers that the League of Rhordia have to offer, and also their 2 grain fermentation devices modified for battle. In response to this, the League have put word out that certain Goblin units are to be annihilated, because word has it that these units of trolls have been living under a local bridge and preventing all the various billy goats from transporting grain to neighbouring villages. So the Halflings would very much like these trolls to be no more, and they also don't like giants very much because they're jealous of their magnificent height. In addition, both sides would ideally like to hold this central area of the village and wait for reinforcements to arrive. So folks, it's the brand new eliminate scenario. This central point is quite important because if you hold that at the end of the game, there will be 1 victory point on offer. The other ways to earn victory points in this scenario are to kill the units with bounties on them. So the units with these green tokens on. And for every one of those that you kill in close combat, you'll earn 2 victory points. That's only close combat though. And if one of your bounty units survives the battle, you gain 1 victory point. So it might be worth shooting them as a last resort. And now let's go through the forces. Starting with the Goblins, on this flank we have sharp sticks, a horde to be precise, and next to them we have a flaget with the diadem of dragonkind. We have a regiment of fleabag riders. We have a horde of trolls. This particular horde here has the dwarven ale, represented by a dead elf, which makes the finest dwarven ale, or so I've heard. We have a giant. We have a whiz on a fleabag with the inspiring talisman and bane chant. We have a big rock thrower, which is very, very scary indeed. We have 2 troops of more beasts. We have a troll bruiser. We have another horde of trolls, this one with the brew of courage. We have a war trombone, a horde of spitters with the heart-seeking chant. There's a wizard down there as well. He also has bane chant. And in this corner we have the mincer. We have another flaget, this one with the holy hand grenade, and more fleabags. And now onto the League of Rhordia. What do we have over here?
We have a mighty master sergeantess with a bow and a steed. We have a unit of halfling archers and farmers with the fire oil, the bravest of the braves. A master engineer with the inspiring talisman. 3 organ guns, he's actually there. A unit of braves with the brew of strength. This is my meaty centre, but that's just because they eat a lot of meat. We have a horde of archers with the heart-piercing item. We have a halfling sorcerer with a steed and wings of the honey maze, just has wind blast. We have another halfling sorcerer with a steed, just wind blast, and he also has the boots of levitation. Another regiment of braves, a iron beast, another iron beast, a master sergeant with a bow and a steed, and then a regiment of halfling knights with the diadem of dragonkind.
Okay, time for the roll-off to who's going to get the choice of going first or second. Here we go. It's a 4 for the Goblins and a 5 for the League of Rhordia.
I'll let you go first.
And the Goblins are going to be going first. Goblin turn 1, and there is a tactical masterclass underway here. You can see there's been a huge crevice left in the middle of the Goblin lines. That's because all the forces on this side have moved forward around this house. And the whole area that these volley guns would light fire into has been vacated suspiciously as the Goblins make a tactical redeployment over towards that direction. And up onto the hill with the fleabags and the mincer, there was a bit of shooting as well. The big rock thrower attempted to shoot, and these spitters also fired towards this big beastie here. The spitters weren't bane chanted despite 2 wizards attempting to cast it on them, but they did put 1 damage on it. The big rock thrower missed, and then a double 6 was rolled on the nerve. So the iron beast is wavered, which is quite comical after 1 arrow. League of Rhordia turn 1, and it's what I might describe as a cheeky turn. So you can see there's been a little bit of an advance all across the line, especially on that flank where they've moved forward. And over here, this little chap parked himself right in front of these flea bags, so they're not going to be able to have quite as much fun as they might have liked in the next turn, possibly. And you can see they also took a bit of damage as a result of the shooting from this archer unit here. The volley guns have moved forward a little bit, because there's nothing for them to shoot right now, so they might as well. So hopefully for them they'll be in shooting range next turn. And over here, you'll see that the flagget has been removed. That's because these knights with the diadem of dragonkind managed to take him off in one fell swoop. And also, the mincer and the fleabags were wind blasted down the hill, which isn't very nice for them, and the fleabags also took 3 damage. So, first blood has been struck, and it's gone against the goblins. 1 character down already. See how they can respond to that. Goblin turn 2. Again, not that eventful. The fleabags decided it was worth charging into this chap here, and they put 2 points damage on him only, so that's not enough to get rid of him. And you can see that the sharp sticks have moved up a little bit, angling themselves so that hopefully they'll be able to get a charge in at some point. And as we move down the line, you can see the more beasts and the troll bruiser decided, you know what, we're sick of this sideways movement malarkey, we're just going straight forwards, straight towards the enemy lines. So unless they get wind blasted, which they may well do, then they could be in charge range next turn. Over here, the trolls and the giant have continued moving that way to support this flank. And the mincer moved onto the hill as well, and he's not going to get wind blasted too far because he's got a whiz sitting right behind him as a shield, just kind of pushing up against it in case any wind comes its way. And then we had some shooting. The big rock thrower missed again, and the spitters were successfully bane chanted, and they managed to put 4 damage points onto this iron beast. Not enough to waver it though. Racking up a bit of damage on these important units as far as the scenario is concerned, and heading into the old League of Rhordia turn 2. League of Rhordia turn 2, and the earlier turn was described as being cheeky, but this time you'll see that the centre of the table is now Goblin unit free. That's because these little spellcasters down here were able to wind blast the Troll Bruiser far enough, putting him in range and with no cover against anything whatsoever. So these archers, which are very nice against regenerating units, and the 3 volley guns are all able to take aim at first him and then the more beasts next door, and these archers took aim at the other unit of more beasts. A vast amount of damage was done and all 3 units evaporated. Oh dear, oh dear. Down here, a couple of breath weapons were aimed at the mincer, but they didn't roll particularly well, so only 1 damage there, which wasn't enough. And then down here, this guy countercharged into the fleabags, put 1 damage on them, and rolled enough to waver them, so they're going to be a bit stuck next turn. Goblin turn 3, and you might not think to look at this flank that it's going a bit better, but it is. But we're going to start over here where it didn't go quite so well. So, the sharp sticks have moved up within range to threaten this area here, and the flagget then launched the Diadem of Dragonkind breath attack into him, but only put 2 more damage on him, not enough to remove him. So that unit could potentially come under attack again, or he might decide to charge the flagget, potentially. He could charge any of these 3 units, really. Then, as we move over here, the big rock thrower actually hit, and there was lots of success shooting-wise at these 2 big beasties here. They're both up to 6 damage now. This one right here particularly took quite a bit of damage this turn from the big rock thrower. The other one took damage from the spitters. A lightning bolt from this whiz here went all the way over here, and even though it only put 1 damage on it, it wavered one of the volley guns, which could be critical because we've got quite a few units within their shooting range now, including these trolls and the giant, both of which of course are carrying bounty, so we can't have them taking too much damage. The mincer then charged into one of these wizards, hoping for the ultimate domino effect, to just mince through both of them and then mince straight into this big beastie. But unfortunately it only got 2 wounds on the first one and couldn't even waver it. So the mincer is dead in its tracks, and it looks like it's going to be munched by all this lot very, very shortly, most likely. However, it has prevented one of those wizards from using his wind blast next turn, and also it stopped him from flying as well, so that's going to be very, very helpful. So, League of Rhordia turn 3, and we'll start at this end where it didn't go quite so badly for the goblins, because this chap here only put 1 damage onto the Flaggit and couldn't roll enough to waver or remove him, so I think there's going to be some halfling death going on over here very shortly. The trolls that positioned themselves in the kill zone were mercilessly gunned down by archers, volley guns, and more archers. Just everything that could shot into them, and they were lightly toasted alive. So off go the trolls, which means that's depriving me of 1 victory point at the end at least now. But of course, no 2 points for killing it in close combat. The 2 iron beasts managed to kill off the mincer quite handily in combat, but they have left themselves open now, very close to my lines. So we'll see whether the goblins can actually retaliate in any way to that. You'll notice also that the war trombone's gone. That's the combined shooting attacks of these 2 units. Took him down. So it's not looking that healthy for the goblins, but in scenario terms it's still looking pretty close because of the damage inflicted to these 2 units here. Goblin turn 4. And over here, the Flaggit and the Fleabag successfully charged into him, and they put some damage on him but could only waver him, unfortunately. And you may notice this unit hasn't actually moved into combat. That's because nothing is more terrifying than the sight of a furry-footed halfling coming at you. So they failed their yellow-bellied test and refused to charge that small, insignificant halfling unit. Oh dear, oh dear. And you may think that's the end of the yellow-bellied action for this turn, but something even worse over here. The best laid plans fell apart when this unit of spitters failed their yellow-bellied roll, quite rightly I would say, to charge into this big iron beastie. So when they failed that, that meant I had to have a bit of a tactical reshuffle and position both the wizards in front of them, which is because up here the Fleabags and the trolls declared a double charge into the knights, killed them, so hopefully that's left them in such a way that none of these guys can charge into the vital bounty-carrying trolls. So the wizards may be laying down their lives here. The giant, with that objective in mind as well, is just running away from all the shooting. And the big rock thrower missed once more. So it's kind of in the balance here, because these 2 big beasties are on quite a bit of damage. And if I could just kill them off, we're in for a very, very close end here. No one owns this objective at the moment, but the halflings are in prime position to get that. League of Rhordia turn 4, and you may have noticed that the trolls have gone walkabout. That's because they were very heavily wind blasted all the way to the edge of the table almost by the wizards around here. So that's not very nice. The Master Sergeant managed to waver these Fleabags, which also isn't very nice because they would have been preparing a nice meaty charge into the flank of this Iron Beast, who couldn't even kill a wizard. This one did manage to kill a wizard though, so that would have been such a nice tasty moment there, but now it's not going to happen. Down here, these spitters took a bit of damage from their rival shooty unit over here, but not enough to do anything to them. And over here, the shooting attacks from these archers and this engineer were able to put enough damage onto these Fleabags to waver them, so they're not going to be able to help out next turn. I'm quietly confident that these Sharpsticks are going to be able to accomplish something next turn. Now, I'm pretty sure one of these halflings is actually dressed as a vampire or a ghost or some kind of fiendish creature, because this Sharpstick horde, despite the fact that they're walking over a dead horse, which clearly they killed because it's clearly a fresh corpse, not been there, just left in the snow for years, they still rolled a 1 on their yellow-bellied test, so failed to charge again, which means they're holding up this entire flank once more. Not that it really mattered much because this unit was wavered anyway. Then the Flaggit failed with all of his Diadem of Dragonkind shots against this guy, which is unfortunate. The big rock thrower missed again, aiming at this big beastie. The wizard has just perched himself round there. He couldn't use his spell though because he took damage in combat last turn. And over here, the spitters took aim and they did actually put 1 more damage onto this big iron beastie. The rest of the units are just positioning themselves so that hopefully next turn they'll be able to do something unless they all get wind blasted into oblivion, which is entirely possible. League of Rhordia turn 5, and you can see here there's lots of wavering going on. These Sharpsticks were wavered by a barrage of shots from over here. There were volley guns left and right, and these archers as well, which also contributed to the downfall of that Fleabag unit, so they're toast. This combat here caused the Flaggit to become wavered as well, so this side isn't going to do anything on potentially my last turn. Over here, though, you'll notice that the spitters have been killed, but the Wiz is still fine. He didn't take any damage, actually. And these two Iron Beasts are just perched carefully. And there is actually a possibility, because the trolls weren't wind blasted an extra inch, there is a possibility that they could get some overrunning shenanigans into one of these beasts in my last turn. The giant's going to hope for a turn 7 if he's going to accomplish anything, though, although he is still alive, and I've still got, of course, the big rock thrower. So even though the halflings vastly outnumber the goblins at the moment, the scenario is still somewhat up in the air. So here we go, possibly the last turn coming up. We've almost finished Goblin turn 6, and we're going to come to you live for some drama now. So over here nothing happened, because both these units have wavered, so there's no drama over there. The drama is, of course, over on this flank, where the trolls have just successfully taken out 2 wizards. They charged into the first one, killed him, overran into the second one, rolled a 3 on the nerve, which was just enough to get rid of him, and now they need a 4+ overrun roll to make it into the Iron Beast, which I believe is in the flank. So if they don't make it, it's not looking good for me at all, because there's only a 50-50 chance I would even have another turn if my units are even alive at that point. So this is a big roll. 4+, they make it in. Here we go.
No!
It's a 6, they've made it! The drama, well, we'll be back with the result of that. That could be crucial. As you can see, the goblins have put themselves on the cusp of potentially getting something out of this game, because the trolls, with all those attacks, managed to kill off the Iron Beast, just rolling enough to remove him. And you can see it's a bit of a tricky situation for this Iron Beast now, because he's got trolls looking at him, he's got a giant over here, and some halfling braves are up there in support, and there's still this guy as well. But the wizard is also there. So this is going to be really tricky. I've just picked up 2 victory points. At the moment, the halflings are sitting on 1 for him being alive, 1 for them being alive, 1 for holding this in the centre, so that's 3. At the moment I'm sitting on 1 for the giant being alive, 1 for the trolls being alive, and 2 for killing that unit in melee. So at the moment the goblins are actually in the lead. So the halflings will have to do something about this. It's going to be close. It could be the final turn of the game here for the League of Rhordia. League of Rhordia turn 6. So as you can see, they've completely mopped up this area here. The Master Sergeant killed off the Flaggett quite easily, and then the sharp sticks were taken out by a massed amount of shooting from volley guns, archers, and even Mr. Engineer, who actually missed. Oh, he hit, but it didn't do a wound this time. The main event down here. The trolls took 5 wounds from the various shooting attacks, such as the breath weapon on this guy and the archers. They weren't in range of much else. So, 5 wounds, he couldn't get rid of them. So as it stands at the moment, which is potentially the end of the game, the halflings have this objective in the centre, giving them 1 point. 2 of their units are still alive with the bounty, here and here, giving them a total of 3. The goblins killed 1 bounty unit in melee, giving me 2, and then this unit and this unit are still alive, giving me 4. So if it ends now, the goblins win. If it goes to turn 7, it looks like it would probably lean towards the goblins, but you never know when there's dice involved. We've already seen some crazy stuff so far in this game. So we're going to have the roll now. If it's a 4+, the game continues. So here we go, 1 to 3, the game is over. It's another turn, so the halflings are still in it. We'll be back with turn 7. The goblin gamble could have backfired here. Both units, the trolls and the giant, charged into the big beastie, but the giant only actually put 1 damage on, I think, which is really, really bad. And then the trolls put 5 on, so got him up to 12, but couldn't roll high enough to even remove him. But we did actually waver him, so he's not going to be able to countercharge, which means that I'm safe from a potential defeat, I think. But if the trolls are killed by all this shooting, then we will end up with a draw. So it could swing back again. I'm blaming Mr. Giant for this if it doesn't go my way here. The one time in the game he had a chance to attack and he didn't do very well. Okay, so we're in the League of Rhordia turn 7, and all the shooting converged on these trolls, who may be about to pay the price for their failure to demolish this unit here. But before we get to that, this Wiz took a point of damage from this guy, but he's fine. And over here, the Master Sergeant managed to kill off the big rock thrower. So the goblins only have what's left in this picture. The trolls, who are on double 1, if they survive, then it's a goblin win. If they die, then it's a draw. So, let's have that crucial nerve roll right here. Oh, and it's an 11. The glare on the dice there almost fooled me. So, the trolls are gone. Which means it's a draw. Well, you can't get much tighter than that down at the wire, can you? Going 100% for the scenario, for the Goblins, almost paid off right at the end there. It was looking bad all the way through the game and then almost snatched it. In a tournament setting, I would imagine the Halflings would end up with significantly more points for kills, but in just a one-off like this, it's a draw. Let's have a look at the dead piles, on request of the Halfling General. So, over here we have the dead Goblins. As you can see, just a smattering of corpses there, not a huge amount to talk about. And as we sweep over to the Halfling dead pile, you'll see there are just hordes of just skewered carcasses left and right for the Halflings. So I think a well-earned draw there for the Goblin forces. Okay, let's get the left-handed handshake live on camera here.
Well played.
It was a good one. So all that remains to be said is that the League of Rhordia have successfully driven out the trolls that were under the bridge, causing all kinds of mischief. And the Goblins, they did a little bit to hamper the harvest. They did manage to take out one of these big green silos on legs. So that's going to make it a little bit of a harsh winter for the Halflings. I'd say, let's call it a moral victory for the Goblins, shall we?